All right, we're off and running. Welcome into the show. You're watching Philadelphia Eagles now. My name is Chase Sr., and it is not a Victory Monday. A lot to talk about, though, in the aftermath of that choke job loss for the Eagles against the Dallas Cowboys. We're going to start with some breaking news on rookie safety second-round pick Andrew Makuba and this Cowboys loss. After rewatching the game, taking a look at the tape, even worse than I thought. And obviously, when you get an opportunity to rewatch the game, you get a lot more context with what we're going to get into here on the show. And let's begin with topic number one, a big loss for this Eagles defense moving forward here in the 2025 campaign for a player who has really started to play better in recent weeks. Andrew Makuba, according to Jeremy Fowler of ESPN, has a fracture in his leg that could require surgery, most likely going to end his season. Now, the good news here, if there is any good news, not expected to impact his 2026, but his 2025 campaign could be over and cut short. Late in that game against the Cowboys, as this defense was kind of reeling a little bit because the offense wasn't playing complimentary football, they couldn't do anything, didn't score for the last 41 minutes, Mukuba got rolled up on by his own teammate Sidney Brown. Took a big hit, friendly fire to that ankle, and Mukuba in the locker room after the game was seen on crutches and in a boot, not able to put any weight on that bad foot, had to get carted off the field, and with this IR stint, he'll be out at least 4 weeks, but the initial reporting indicates that he could be lost for the year. Nick Sirianni just got done speaking to the media. He's not going to make a change at offensive coordinator. Kevin Patullo going to continue to call the plays, so there's that. There's also replacements for Makuba in-house. Expect Michael Carter, trade deadline acquisition in that move with the New York Jets, to get some opportunities there at that safety spot. We saw him playing safety yesterday. Sidney Brown also going to get some run at that safety position alongside Reed Blankenship, who is also hurt as the Eagles are on a short week. More on that in a moment. And I think that Makuba has been pretty solid in his rookie campaign. Second-round pick. He's had his ups. He's had his downs. He's been used as a blitzer from time to time by Vic Fangio. I think he's been utilized in a manner that's allowed him to be a playmaker in that regard. He's been an excellent run defender. He has had some big plays in coverage. He's also had his lapses. A classic rookie year where there have been pluses, there have been negatives, and that's all backed up by some of the Pro Football Focus numbers here, some good, some bad, when you look at these digits. Overall PFF grade 57.2, 67th out of 93 qualifying safeties this year. Pass rush grade, 78.4. That's ninth. That's the ability to blitz. You think back to him getting home, to Patrick Mahomes in that game against Kansas City at Arrowhead earlier in the season. Run defense grade, 81.2. That was a strength at Texas where we've seen it translate to the NFL level. With a lot of speed, playing physical. He can come up to the line of scrimmage, make plays there against the run. He can really read and diagnose plays well. At Texas, he was a ball hawking safety, and he made a lot of plays around the ball. We've seen that at the NFL level. The interception against the Chiefs. Couple more big plays in coverage this season. A coverage grade, 46.9, 80th. He gave up the big touchdown against Tampa Bay, for instance. He had the pick against Minnesota and Carson Wentz. So again, a mixed bag for Makuba, but I thought of late he was really starting to come on, and clearly Vic Fangio thought he was the best option because he was the starting safety in that secondary alongside Reed Blankenship, the two picks on the year. A free agent option for Philadelphia in the aftermath of this Andrew Makuba injury, which could end his season, 32-year-old Justin Simmons, who's been tied to the Eagles a lot over the last couple of years. Why? Because he was a four-time second-team All-Pro with the Denver Broncos. He's a qualified safety who's a perfect scheme fit for Philadelphia. He was a team captain while with Denver, and he is that center field type of safety who has been really good against the pass, picking off a lot of passes throughout his career. He, of course, has ties to the Eagles coaching staff as well. He played under Vic Fangio when he was with the Broncos and played at an elite level. He also played under Christian Parker, the current Eagles defensive backs coach. And so if the Eagles want to make an external move at the safety position and bring in a guy in Simmons who's seen everything that you can see at the NFL level, who could get snaps right away because he knows this defensive scheme, they could go the route of Justin Simmons. That would make a lot of sense. He's not going to cost that much, and he'll be a good fit in this locker room. Some additional worries around this injury for the Eagles and in this secondary. We saw this defense get gashed a little bit especially in that second half. They gave up nearly 500 yards yesterday, and a lot of those came after recess. On top of Andrew Makuba getting hurt, Reed Blankenship left early with that thigh injury. He couldn't return. Adoree Jackson at corner, concussion protocol. He got hurt. And it's not like the Eagles have a long week. They have a short week. They play the Chicago Bears on Black Friday in a game that has a lot of NFC implications here. And you look at the NFC playoff picture with the Eagles losing and the Rams winning. Eagles knocked out of the number one spot in this conference here. Now, they do own the tiebreaker against the Rams if they finish with the same record. Of note, too, the Eagles had the number 2 seed last year, still made it to the Super Bowl. But there's a lot to improve on for Philadelphia. But this Bears game, the Bears started 0-2. They are 7-1 since then. They are feeling good about themselves. They are feeling very confident. They're coming off another big last-second win. The Eagles, on the other hand, they're scuffling a little bit, not feeling good, and they're injured. This Bears offense is also playing really well and clicking under Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams, and this game could go a long way in deciding some important seeds in the NFC. Of note, the Eagles have beaten the Rams. They beat the Bucs. They beat the Packers. They beat the Detroit Lions. And so if they can beat Chicago here, they could pretty much lock up a top 2 seed in this conference. I don't think they're going to collapse to the point where they lose the NFC East. A lot of times when Dak Prescott has been healthy, they always split with the Cowboys. But the Cowboys have to be noticed here. 5-5-1. That win really saved their season. And the Eagles here against Chicago, banged up secondary. They win this game, you feel good about Philadelphia. You lose this game, you start to get a little bit worried about where the Birds are from here on out for the rest of the season. Now, of course, we have to segue to this. We talked about the Andrew Makuba breaking news. Why did the Eagles lose to the Cowboys? Well, after looking at the tape, after rewatching this game, I have a lot of reasons for why they fell flat, why they lost that 21-0 lead. The first time that they have lost a 21-point advantage since 1999. Andy Reid's first game as head coach for the Eagles, and all of that is coming up here just around the corner. But today's Philadelphia Eagles now sponsor our friends at Ridge Wallet. I've been using the Ridge Wallet for a very long time. It's been a game changer. And as you can see with these fancy graphics below me, don't you hate having a wallet that looks like a crusty brick like that one right there? I used to have a wallet like that, and I'm somebody who hates having too much in my pockets. With Ridge, I've been able to solve for that. This is a slim, unique, sturdy, durable design, and with their Black Friday deal, you can get up to 47% off by going to ridge.com/chat using the code chat. If you want to get that Eagles-themed wallet, that is available as well. And say hello to the Ridge 2.0, the most refined version of the Ridge wallet. They have been perfecting the wallet for 12 years, and everything is better with the Ridge 2.0. It's 10% lighter. Every gram matters in the Ridge Wallet 2.0. They found the perfect balance. They made it more modular with improved cash straps, money clips, and the AirTag attachments. There is an improved surface design with great logos. They match. Plated cash straps. It's made with premium materials. It's probably my favorite element of this because it's made with aluminum, titanium, carbon fiber, and this will be the last wallet you'll ever need to buy. It also holds up to 12 cards plus cash, over 50 plus colors available, many styles to choose from. You can even get a wallet with that Eagles logo on there. Plus, all Ridge wallets have a new industry-leading built-for-life warranty, so even if your wallet is lost or stolen, they've got you covered. If you do lose your wallet, that is a big fear of everybody's, it has that Ridge AirTag attachment so that you can track it down and find it. Customers are very happy with it. That includes myself. Over 100,000 5-star reviews. That is proof that Ridge is a gift that people love to receive. So listen up. For a limited time, Ridge is having their huge Black Friday sale. Head to ridge.com, ridge.com. Get up to 47% off your order. This is by far the biggest discount they've given all year. That's ridge.com/chat for up to 47% off your order during their biggest sale of the year. After you make your purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them. Please support our show. tell them that Eagles Now, Chat Sports, and Chase Senior sent you. 47% off, ridge.com/chat. Use that code chat. It's been a game changer, and it's made my life better and easier. All right. What happened against the Dallas Cowboys? I have 5 things that I want to point out after taking a look at the tape. Did the play calling get conservative for the Eagles? In the moment, it felt like that, but after going back and watching this game and looking at the drive chart, I don't really think that the Eagles got that conservative with their offensive game planning and play calling in this game. I actually think a problem was them not making adjustments. And why do I think that the Eagles didn't get conservative in this game? Because even when they went up 21-0, they continued to throw the football. Now, you can say that before the half, they should have gotten into field goal range. I agree. Should they have gone for it instead of that long Jake Elliott field goal, which he missed, which ended up really burning them? Yeah, you can make that argument. But I do think that they tried to throw the ball and remain aggressive after taking that 3-touchdown lead. And you look at some of the numbers that they produced in this game. The offensive production was certainly there. They also got off to a really good start. Jalen Hurts, a part of that. 27-39, 289 yards, a touchdown, no picks, a rating of 99.2. A.J. Brown and him had that connection working throughout the day, especially early, and the Eagles made an effort to get A.J. the ball. 10 targets, 8 catches, 110 yards, 1 receiving touchdown. Devontae Smith, he was targeted downfield on some explosives. He had 11 targets, 6 catches, 89 yards. Good for a yards per catch of 14.8. And so I think a problem for the Eagles is that they just couldn't really run the football, and that's why they couldn't eat up clock. That's why they couldn't wear the Cowboys down. And obviously, when you look at the drive chart, it's concerning. Touchdown, touchdown, touchdown to start the game. After that, punt, end of half, punt, 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 missed field goal, fumble, punt. And you're going to say, yeah, they got really conservative. In moments, maybe they did situationally, but they threw the football a lot. They had big production, some explosive plays. I just don't think they really got that conservative. I think that's an overblown talking point in the aftermath of this loss. Now, that brings me to this. I think this might be the biggest issue with this Eagles offense right now. Philadelphia all year and yesterday against the Dallas Cowboys simply cannot run the football. And I think this is the biggest thing that is holding this offense back. And I don't think it's a Saquon Barkley issue. When I have watched him play this year, I think he's been fast. I think he's been explosive. This offensive line is not doing him any favors. Now, I will say, I think Saquon against the Cowboys probably had his worst game in an Eagles uniform. There were plays that were there to be had. He slipped on multiple occasions. He had that costly fumble. 10 carries for 22 yards, a grand total of 2.2 yards per carry. But this offensive line stinks. And tell me a running back that's been able to find success when an offensive line is consistently getting beat, pushed back, and bullied. And that has been the story of this Eagles offensive line all season long. And it's backed up by numbers that I've been talking about all year long. Yards before contact. Now, depending on which database you look at, these numbers differ a little bit, but the difference is about the same. This year, yards before contact for Saquon, 2.3. That is 26th in the NFL. It is down 1.5 yards from last year, which was 3.8, first in the NFL. Against the Dallas Cowboys, Saquon's yards before contact, -1. Meaning, when he got carries in that backfield, he was met 1 yard behind the line of scrimmage consistently. And consistently all year. When he's gotten the rock, there's been nowhere to go. So it doesn't come down to him being burnt out from last year, leading the league in touches, or the Madden curse. It comes down to this offensive line underperforming, and it's ruining the entire offense, passing it and running it. 2024 versus 2025. Last year, the Eagles would be able to go up. They would take leads on the opposition. They would run the ball successfully, maintain possession of the rock, eat clock, and then pop an explosive play to extend that lead. This season, there is none of that, and that's why the Eagles have struggled to put teams away. Number 3, these penalties for the Eagles are absolutely inexcusable. And the Eagles all season long have been a sloppy, undisciplined football team. Yesterday against Dallas, they had 14 penalties for 96 yards. And an issue here is that they come at the most inopportune times. And when you play behind the sticks, it's not a sustainable way to play football. But yesterday, it felt as though when the Eagles would have an explosive play, a momentum-changing play, it would be sucked away by a bad penalty. It would be diminished and taken away by a penalty. And that, too, serves as a momentum change, but also a yardage difference. And Eagles Eric, friend of the show, one of the best analytical follows on social media, put this tweet out, and he sums it up perfectly. The Eagles offense this year, unable and unwilling to overcome penalties because it has been a season-long issue. They possess the 6th highest percentage of drives with a penalty this year and the 23rd ranked offense on those drives, meaning one of the worst in the NFL. And you look at some of the offenses in the Eagles cluster right now. These are some of the worst teams and offenses in the NFL. This is not where you want to be. Alongside the Las Vegas Raiders, the Arizona Cardinals, the New Orleans Saints, the Tennessee Titans, the Cleveland Browns, the Minnesota Vikings, and the Carolina Panthers, that's where this Eagles offense is right now. And it's killing them time and time again. And I talked about this during the watch party yesterday. I talked about it during the post-game show. And then Elliott Shore-Parks referencing this on X as well. So many drives killed by penalties and bad running plays after going up 21-0. 4th drive of the game, 3rd and 2. Penalty on Cam Jurgens for a false start. What happens when that then happens? A 3rd and 2 goes into a 3rd and long. What did the Eagles do there? Punt it. 6th drive of the game. It's 2nd and 2 for the Eagles. Penalty makes it 2nd and 7. You go from a short yardage situation to a long yardage situation. What happens? Eagles have to punt it. 8th drive of the game. 3 total yards on 2 Saquon runs. 3rd and 7. They don't get it. They have to punt it again. 9th drive of the game. They get a completion to make it 2nd and 2. Dallas Goedert pass interference makes it 1st and 20. Then Jake Elliott misses that field goal. 10th drive of the game. This could have decided it here, ladies and gentlemen. It's 2nd and 7. Hurts throws a beautiful pass downfield to Devontae Smith. They would have had the ball at the 12. We discussed this during the postgame show. But that penalty on Fred Johnson, illegal hands to the face, negates it. Instead of a 1st and 10 at the 12, it becomes a 2nd and 17 at the 38-yard line. What happened on the next play? Saquon Barkley fumbled it. Mistake after mistake after mistake, and it's coming at the worst times. First drive of that second half. Dallas Goedert gets that little pop play. He's able to pick up a first down. Penalty. Later in the game, Dallas Goedert, another huge play in that moment, wiped out by another penalty. Nick Sirianni likes to say, master things that take no talent. His motto for this team, this was on their Super Bowl ring, tough, detailed, together. This year, the Eagles have not mastered things that take no talent because they have been one of the oft-penalized teams in the NFL, one of the most oft-injured or penalized teams in the NFL, and they have not been a detailed team because they continue to kill themselves with all these penalties. And I know that Kevin Patullo hasn't done a great job sometimes, right? But he is calling and devising these explosive plays, then get wiped out by penalties. Who are the people committing those penalties? It's not Kevin Patullo. It's the players. Now, the Eagles coaching staff as a collective can do a better job of coaching up some of these things because some of them are procedural, like Matt Pryor lining up as an eligible receiver covered, and that can be avoided. But these other things, they can be decided and avoided by the players. Point number 4. All season long, the Eagles have won these close games. The offense has been anemic. The offense has been vanilla. They've done just enough on offense, and they have relied on their defense to carry them. What did I say going into this game? I said the Eagles' offense is going to have to carry the load because this Cowboys offense, one of the best in the NFL, and you can't count on this defense every single week to play lights out. At some point, especially in a road game against one of the top offenses in the NFL, they're going to have a game in which they struggle. So then it was up to the offense to be able to win the game. I mean, shoot, the defense early did its job. They were up in the turnover battle 2-0. They got some big stops on 4th down. First drive of the game, then in the red zone. Reed Blankenship had that interception in the end zone. The defense did its job, but over time, they struggled, and the offense couldn't help them out. You're not going to win a lot of games in which you're committing 16 penalties for 96 yards, and you don't score for the final 41 minutes of the game. And you look at what the Cowboys did on offense against this Eagles defense, 473 yards, 7 yards per play. Dak threw it for 348. The Cowboys ran it for $125, 4 yards per carry. They got those 2 turnovers, an interception, a fumble recovered by Zack Baun. And early they capitalized on some of those mistakes, but then the offense grew stale, the offense grew predictable, the offense fell apart, and the defense fell apart, and you committed all those penalties. You had those turnovers, and you missed a field goal, which pretty much is a penalty. And then lastly, this Eagles offense did not adjust. This is, I believe, on Kevin Patullo. The Cowboys have been running these 5-man fronts the last couple of weeks, and this Eagles offense was baffled by them. Landon Dickerson said after the game, that caught us by surprise because they haven't been doing that a lot this year. The last couple of games, the Cowboys have been running a lot of 5-man defensive fronts. Why are they doing that? Because they want their 3 disruptive defensive tackles on the field at the same time, and yesterday, they were game changers, and yesterday, they all made big plays. I'm talking about Osa Odigizua, Kenny Clark, and Quinyon Williams. And early, this Eagles offense was humming. Then the Cowboys made some adjustments. The Eagles offense couldn't make counter adjustments. And when I talk about the lack of play calling feel, lack of play calling rhythm, that is what I'm talking about that Kevin Patullo lacks. Nick Sirianni, not thinking about an offensive coordinator change. And that kind of screams panic if you do it now, as I record this show on November 24th. It's just too late, in my opinion, to do that. You'd be scrambling. If there's an internal option, it's Scott Loeffler, who's called plays before. At Bowling Green, he was the head coach. He called plays, and he's currently the quarterback's coach. But also, if the Eagles clean up some of these penalties, which are avoidable, Kevin Patullo has called some nice plays. He did so yesterday. Early on, they took the 21-0 advantage. But as a collective offensive unit, coaching, playing-wise, execution-wise, they got to be better. Offensive line has to be better. And if they can't run the ball, which is kind of who they've been all year, Eagles aren't going to go back-to-back. And that's a big concern moving forward. Don't forget to give me a follow on social media. You can find me on X and Instagram at Chase_senior. Over the weekend, I just launched a new TikTok as well. I gave in. It's the same username over there. I just want to get my content to more people. So let's get to 10,000 followers as soon as possible over there. And give me a follow on all platforms at Chase_senior.